Hello, everyone. Welcome to my basement, which holds the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO Scale. My name is Gerald Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 49 of season 2022. Did not get a lot accomplished this week physically on the layout. So I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and give you an overview of the layout. Have not done that in quite some time. So I'm going to give you an overview of the layout and show you some things that I did get done physically. And I mean physically by actually like installing 3 turnouts and some track in the Evanston yard. I also did do some things from a programming standpoint, and I'll share a little bit about that also. But I thought it'd be a good idea just to kind of give you an overview of the layout. You saw kind of where things begin over there by the basement entrance, and going to kind of go over the lower level. It goes from the staging yard to Morgan, and then Devil's Slide. Way in the distance you can see the Taggart Tunnel area, and there's Devil's Slide. They're also kind of looking at some scenery here that did almost a year ago in February. It's been about 10 months. Definitely anxious to get going on some scenery again. But kind of want to give you an idea of some of the things that have taken place over the last year and a half. There was again, looking at the lower level, that's going to be Echo down there. This is Emory as we see the train comes through. Then you have the scenic area, which is the Wasatch Grade, and it comes up along here. I had an open house yesterday. I want to just kind of take a break here to talk a little bit about the open house I had yesterday. This was for just friends and neighbors, and I ran the layout for 3 hours yesterday. 4 trains running nonstop for 3 hours, and it pretty much, in fact, it did run the complete time without stopping with 0 derailments and 0 mishaps. Then I ran it this morning, and sure enough, I had a solder joint come loose, which you're looking at right now. This is at Devil's Slide. This does happen periodically, especially at the points if there's a lot of movement back and forth as you throw the turnouts. They do come off every once in a while. It doesn't happen very often. But if that does happen, you do need to just solder it back real quick. I have had this happen on the Geneva sub, the N-scale version of the Geneva sub, during an operating session, but it takes about 3 minutes to fix, so it's really not much of an issue. Here you can see I'm just adding some flux, putting it in position, and then just resoldering it. So it really is not hard to do. Doesn't take a whole lot of time, and like I said, does not happen very often. I would say in a year of lots of running, I might have it happen like 5 times over the course of a year. So it doesn't happen very often, but it does, and then you just have to solder it back. Since I use the straight hinges, there is some torquing going on there. If you use the hinged with points, you have less issue with that, but it looks much better having the straight and not the hinge. All right, right back to the layout. So we came up the Wasatch Grade, and I'm kind of getting distracted by trains going by here. Well, anyway, you come up the Wasatch Grade. The main lines separate while it goes up the Wasatch Grade and then come back together here at Wasatch, and then we're coming into Evanston. That's the area for the UTLX repair facility, and then the Evanston yard is down here, and as you can see, I do have all the turnouts done for the yard tracks, and so all 7 tracks are in. There's a arrival departure track, a bypass track, and then 5 storage tracks. And then it comes around from here, and then from here it goes from the lower level to the second level. Another little break room. One reason why I didn't get a whole lot done except for 3 turnouts is I've been spending some time programming for operations. And this is an old program. This is Q Basic. I started programming in Basic back in the 80s when I taught computer science to some middle school students. This is when I first started teaching, and I would teach them Basic. And so I learned it myself, and I've always used it to write an operational program. So here you can see this is a Word document. I couldn't get it to do a video of the Q Basic. You saw a picture of what it looks like. But you might want to, if you're interested, you might want to Google Q Basic. It's an old language. But it's one I learned, and I haven't bothered to learn anything else. It works for what I'm doing here, which is basically taking a Excel file, and manipulating the data to generate switch lists and so on. So it actually is pretty cool. To generate the Excel file, I use Microsoft Access. So here's my inventory of all my rolling stock, and you can see all the different headings that I have. There's the number, the road number, the car type, some notes. For notes, I'm going to have like a description of the car. So when we do this switch list, it'll be able to say down be able to see what color it is, anything distinguishing that it might have. Now, some of these things will not be used by the operations program, like how much it costs and the manufacturer and so forth. But here's some more. I'm going to include, of course, you have the reporting marks, but I'm also going to include loaded or empty and the length of it, because I want to print out for the road engineers not only a train list, but a train list that includes how long the total train is, how long all the cars are, how much weight the total train is, and all that stuff. And one of the key things there is location, the second from the last there. And that's what the program will use and manipulate as it does the operations program. And the location would be like, it could be located in a train, it could be located in a yard, it could be located at a siding somewhere. Here's how I enter the data. I have a little form there. I have pictures of each car. This inventory is going to be used by my kids when I pass away or no longer around, and they can use it to sell all of my equipment and so on. So I spent a lot of time doing that. Nothing physical, but definitely going to be important to have. All right, now we're at the second level. Just really quick, here's the Aspen tunnels on the second level, and this is a stack train coming through. The lower level is more mountainous, and it's going to have a lot of scenery. The lower level is wider, includes the peninsula, which is going to have a lot of scenery. The upper level represents basically from Evanston to Green River, which is part of the Wyoming Plateau. It's pretty flat and not a whole lot of scenery, just some mountains in the background and so forth. So that's going to be represented by the upper level here as we go around. Here you get a better look at the on the lower level. Oh, there's where the golden spike was. People are still there. They were so excited about it. This is going to be the Tagger on the lower level. That's going to be the Tagger Mountain area. Going to be a couple of tunnels there and bridges for where it crosses the Weber River. It was interesting doing the open house yesterday for friends and neighbors. They were just amazed by what I had in my basement. And when I was explaining, different things about it, the DCC and the way that we do scenery and how we have operating sessions with everything. It's, they were all pretty amazed and definitely had a good time. But it's interesting, if they're not train guys, it was after a little bit they got kind of like talking to each other instead of looking at the trains. When I had an open house for trained people, they spent the whole time looking at the trains. But for friends and neighbors, they were definitely interested and definitely amazed. But it didn't take too long before they started talking to each other and kind of ignored the trains going by. But I was happy to do that. I'll probably do that every year so people can see, what kind of progress I make from year to year. It's a good thing to do for Christmas time. All right, so here we're still on the upper level. You saw the Aspen control point and the Granger control point. Also a little spur coming off at Granger for the Pocatello sub. This is West Vaco, which is going to be a yard and some spur tracks. I'm having an operating session in 5 weeks. So in the next 5 weeks, I need to get all the track laid here. I need to get the track laid for the UTLX repair facility, and I need to finish up with a little bit of track at the Evanston yard. And then I want to get all the operational programming done and the sheets all together. So I got 5 weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. The upper level does not go above the peninsula. It just crosses over here as we walk to the other side. Here I'm distracted again by a train going through. I love these Caterpillar loads. Those are from Diecast Masters, and I got them at Awesome Diecast is the website. I grew up in Peoria, Illinois, where Caterpillar is headquartered, so I'm kind of fond of the Caterpillar loads. All right, so here we're still coming on the upper level. Have some of the backdrop done here, so you can kind of get an idea. The upper level is going to be ballast for the track and static grass and line side details, and then the backdrop. So it's going to be pretty cool looking, I think. Not as scenic as the lower level is going to be. Here's some more Caterpillar loads coming through. I need to get the guys out of the tractors. Always looks funny seeing the people sitting there on the flat car. All right, now here's the 3 turnouts that I did. Okay, these are number 8 curved fast tracks turnouts. They're 50-inch radius and 35-inch radius for the 2 curves of the turnout, and then I of course got all the track in. The only thing I have left to do in the Evanston yard is a couple turnouts for the car shops, and I have to extend out the lead tracks, the drill tracks, switching leads, some people call them. Here you can see this is a more prototypical layout here for the yard ladder. So we'll probably use this side of the yard a little bit more than the other side, but we'll use both sides. From the upper level, then it goes into a helix and then goes around 4 turns and goes back into the staging yard. So that completes the run completely around the layout. And there you can see the helix. There's one coming up the helix as in addition to the one that's going down. See if we can catch them going in both directions. The curves on the helix are 38 and 40 inches, and it's a 2% grade. So I'm able to pull 45 car coal trains up the helix, although it takes 4 locomotives. All right, back to the Evanston yard. I need to complete that. Well, here's you can see where the helix goes around and then comes back into the staging yard, and that completes the run. There's the mirrors for people to see where their train is and how it's coming down. That was actually pretty useful. I added some repeater signals here, but that was pretty useful. I think that's a good way of doing it. Some people have thought maybe would have a computer monitor, but I think you can see more with the mirror. Here I'm showing my ADD tendencies here and distracted by another train coming up the Wasatch grade. This is a local train. So the program I'm riding is right now is for 2 local trains that start from the staging yards and stop at one of the industries, either Wholesome Cement or Westvaco or UTLX, and then go to the Evanston yard and then terminate there, and the cars will be sorted. And then there's going to be 2 locals that will also start in the Evanston yard and then depart from the Evanston yard. Again, stop at an industry along the way and then end up back in the staging yard. All right, so here's where the staging yard goes back. And then we end up here at the end. Thanks so much for watching. This is the end of the video. Sorry, it kind of ended abruptly. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, everybody. Merry Christmas. Take care.